Okay, and welcome to our very first online tutorial for CP1050 as part of our networking. Okay, so this will be a bit different for me since I've never tried this before, so hopefully this ends up working out okay. Um, Anyway, well, let's begin. This is going to be a bit of a review for the Section 4, but it might be a bit of new stuff for Section 3. But I'd suggest, regardless of which section you're on, you may as well just give this a try as well, because it'll be a good thing for a little extra practice. Okay, so what I've got here today is I want to talk about something called network masking. And we will use this to help explain what's known as the link layer. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with something quite simple by dragging a couple of things over. So I'm going to do a demonstration first, then I'm going to ask you to pause the video. So at the point that I want you to pause, you'll actually see uh, a message showing you to pause the video and complete the exercise, and then you can come back whenever you're finished. All right, well, here's the first thing I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to build up a small network today with a couple of computers. Okay, and if you want to drag an extra computer on, that's perfectly fine. And we're going to use a switch to connect the two computers. And I'm going to grab this 2960 switch here and drag it up. And I'm just going to connect everything. Okay, and we've been through this already. So just a copper straight cable from here, and once again, it doesn't matter which one of these ports you plug this whole thing into, so just grab whichever ones. Okay, and of course we've got the magic orange dot. I promise that we will explain the orange dot in a little bit of time. But once we have everything connected, we'll just go ahead and wait for this to turn green. If you're really impatient, you see there's a button down here called fast forward time that will usually make these things turn green pretty quick. Okay, all right, so first thing up, just like what we did in class, I'm going to go into the desktop, I'm going to grab the configuration, and I'm going to start off by putting this IP address, 200.34.12.3 on this computer, and you'll see that this net mask is filled out automatically. We'll be back to the net mask in a few minutes. And over on this one, I'm going to do the same type of thing, and I'm going to say 200.1.34.12.6. Okay, and also 255. Now, you don't need to do this, but I'm going to place a note over here just so you know exactly what I've put. So 234.12.6, and the net mask is 255.255.255.0. And over on this side, I have 200.34.12.3, and net mask is 255.255.255.0. Okay, so these are just some notes just so you can actually see these values. So you don't need to do this when you do your exercise, but I certainly encourage you to try it because it will at least keep things straight. Okay, so now we've built up a small network and we've got two completely different IP addresses, and just like what we did in class, we're going to start off by trying to ping from one to the other. So I'm going to open up a command prompt on the PC on the left. In fact, before I go, I'm going to change this from PC0 and I'm going to call it left, and instead of PC1 I'm going to call it right. This way it doesn't matter which order you put things in. Okay, let me open up the computer on the left and I'm going to try typing ping 200.34.12.6, and you'll see that we actually get back a response. So everything is working exactly as we expected. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to pause the video right now, and I want you to build up exactly the same network as what's shown here. So just give me 1 second and I will pop open a note and we'll put it up, and I'll leave this up for a few seconds and you can just go ahead and type this in. Okay, so build the above network with the switches, with the switch and the two computers with the address shown. Okay, so go ahead, pause the video, take as much time as you need for this, and make sure that everything can be pinged. So let me put in here, format word wrap, here we go. And we'll say make sure that you can ping from the left to the right computer. Okay, so just go ahead, pause the video. When you come back, we'll carry on with the next piece. Okay, so hopefully you've managed to get that part to work without any problems. And now what I want you to do is I'm going to start by trying to pick some different IP addresses to see how things work. I encourage you afterwards to pause the video and actually make sure that you also are seeing the same thing. Look, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a different number here altogether. So let's just change this number to 12.98 on the right computer. But of course, not just there, but actually change it in here as well. Okay, and I'll close it up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the left computer and I'm going to try pinging that new address. Okay, .98. Okay, you'll notice that this is still working. Okay, and guess what? I could have picked any other number, well, to a point. It could have been 90, it could have been 92. Well, let's try something a little bit bigger. How about 212? Okay, come in here. I'm sorry. Don't forget to change the address. That label is just a label to remind us. So here's 212. And let me pop this open, and from the left side we'll try pinging 212, and yes, that is working perfectly fine. Okay, well, can we do something, say, quite different? Okay, well, can we just go bigger? Well, let's try 267. Okay. Whoa, okay, so that's quite loud, and the problem is that if you try 267, it says it's an invalid address, and that's because the biggest possible number that you can have is going to be 200.34.12.254, and that is the absolute highest that you can possibly get away with on this particular network. 254, and we'll do one final little test here to make sure everything is okay. 254. Okay, and you'll see that this is fine. So in other words, it looks like we've got a limited range of numbers. We could have gone from 200.34.12.1 all the way to 254. 255 is a special address, and I'm going to come back and talk about that another time. Okay, so I've got a limit, and the biggest number I can possibly put is this. Now, if that's the case, well, what if I make it just a small change like 13.6? Okay, that's actually not that much different than what the first one that we had. So let's change this to 13.6. Okay, because these numbers don't look too far out of whack. So let's see whether or not we can ping this particular address. Okay, so 13.6. And you'll see here, this is just not working. Okay, so why not? Okay, well, the secret has to do with these two addresses that we've got. And it also has to do with the bottom number that we've been kind of taking for granted right now, called a network the subnet mask. Okay, which is the way it's being put right here. It's called Subnet Mask. Now, if you look closely at the Subnet Mask, you'll see it says 255, 255, 2550. What this means, wherever you have these 255s, that means that part of the number above is part of the same network. So, it used to work when we had 255, 255, 2550. Every computer that was on the same network, 200.34.12, will still end up working because it is part of the same network. And what's going on right now, from the left computer, if you try pinging 192.134.13, the computer is just going to have a problem because it's going to realize that is not on the same network as the computer on the left, and therefore the packets actually don't go out. So now there's a couple of things that we can do. First of all, I could come back to my 13.6 and change it back to a 12 and everything would be fine. But what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to take this subnet mask on the left computer and I'm going to make it 255, 25500. Okay, there's one. And I'll change the label out here just to remind you in a few seconds. And I'm also going to come over here and I'm going to make the same change, not only to the label but to the actual machine itself, and we're going to make it 0. Okay, so now take a look at this. The computer on the left network mask is 255, 25500. What this means is that the first two parts of this address is the network 234. And take a look over here. This computer is also 200.34. They are now on the same network because of this thing called a network mask. Because they're on the same network, I'll actually be able to come in here, and now if we try 13.6, you'll see that the packets actually go through. Okay, and the reason why this is working now is because it happens to be on the same network. Okay, so what I'm going to get you to do is I want you to now pause the video. Oops, sorry, wrong one. Down here. Okay, let me close up this one. Pause video and try the following for the right address. Okay, 200.34.129.32, and I'm going to say should work because it is on the same 200.34 network. Okay, 200.34.250. Let's see, 143. This should also work because it happens to be living on the same 200.34 network. Now, I'm also going to get you to try 200.55.129.21. Will not work. Okay, because these are now on two different networks. So remember, only change the right address. Okay, and of course the reason why this isn't going to work is because the network begins with 200.55, and that is not the same as 200.34. Okay, but here's a small trick. Okay, now what I want you to do is change the network mask to make the ping work. Okay, I'm going to leave this as an exercise for you to go off and try. Okay, hint, it has something to do with the network mask. So I'm going to leave that as an exercise for you to try. Go ahead, pause the video, take as much time as you need. I mean, obviously, if you get completely stuck, then come back, run the video, and I will make that change in a couple of seconds. Okay, so back, and I'm hoping that one of two things has either happened. You've either got this to work, or, well, I'm hoping that's actually what's happened. What I'm going to do now is, here, let me explain what's going to work and what isn't. Okay, so if you come over here and you try changing this IP address to 200.55.129.21 as I asked you to, and you try pinging this address from the left, I suspect that it just won't work. So 200.55.129.21. Okay, and of course it doesn't work. And the reason why it doesn't work is because now the left computer is on network 200.34 and the right computer is on network 200.55, and those don't match. So the computer has no idea where to send that type of a message. But instead of going and changing back the IP addresses, the solution here is, well, I could do the following. There's a lot of things that I could do, but I'm going to end up changing this to 255.0.0.0, and I'm going to change this subnet mask to 255.0.0.0. Now, what this means is only the first, what's known as the octet, is actually the network number. So this is network 200, this is network 200, so therefore things should work. So let me go in here and I will change all the IP addresses as we expect, and change the network mask as well. Okay, now, the magic, as long as I haven't made a mistake, okay, it looks like I got the right values, now I should be able to ping that address because now they happen to live on the same network once again. Okay, so you can see how important the net mask is. The net mask tells you which parts of the IP address are parts of the network and which ones happen to be the computer. So really, in effect, is this computer right here lives on address or network number 200, and its address is 34.12.3. And this computer lives on network 200 and its address is 55.129.21. Okay, and it's all controlled by this net mask. Okay, and one final thing. Now, I'm sure what you're thinking next is, well, now we made another change. So if I come in here and say 201, guess what? Is that going to end up working? Okay, well, let's try it very quickly. We don't expect it to. And of course, the reason why we don't expect it to is because, well, they're no longer on the same network. So I know what you're thinking, saying, okay, well, perfect. All that I need to do is to come into the net mask, and if I make absolutely everything 0, then I could suddenly cheat and I could basically talk to anything else that I put on here. Okay, well, let's go in and give it a shot. So if we come in here and you say, okay, 0, perfect. Unfortunately, we get a complaint saying that the subnet mask is just not valid. And that's because subnet masks need to have at least one bit set. And if everything is 0, nothing ends up working. Okay, well, is there some way that we could still make these two communicate? Well, we could, but it's going to require something that I don't want to talk about yet. So we'll come back to that a little bit later when we talk about variable length subnet masks. Okay, now I'm going to leave you with one small exercise. Okay, and here we go. Whoa, sorry, once again, gone to the wrong place. Okay, here we go. So I want you to pause the video. Again, okay, here we go. Pause the video and build a network with the following 3 computers and pick a subnet mask, that makes the computers work. Okay, so here we go. So the computer addresses are going to be 191.123.43.21 and 191.123.12.12 and finally 192.123.44.198. So please build up those 3 computers and you can pick the subnet mask. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to figure this out. So start with absolutely nothing, configure the 3 computers, and make sure that you can ping between the 3 computers and submit a screenshot of the network showing that the pings worked. Okay, now I know you're not going to be able to show all of the pings, but at least show me some of them. So in other words, I'm talking about opening up this one here, opening up a command prompt, and maybe putting it somewhere about here. Okay, and just show me that the pings are actually working. So now I'm not sure which pings I've got because I've got my network addresses changed. So if you show me a picture of Cisco Packet Tracer along with one computer showing that it can ping the other 2, that'll be perfectly fine. Okay, so that's the end of the video. I'll pause it here for about 10 seconds. Or I'll leave the screen up for about 10 seconds so you can pause the video. And of course, what I want you to do is submit this to B0. Oh, sorry, I have to now look up and see which one of these are my actual thing for today. Okay, I believe that it's B04. Okay, if it isn't, sorry, I will fix it in a few minutes. Okay, all right, so that's all of the stuff that we need to do today. Okay, or sorry, not for today, but for this lesson. Please do this. About 10-15 minutes is probably enough time for this. Okay, when you're finished with this, go back to D2L and find the link up to the very next lesson. So I've got another lesson coming about the same duration of this, about the same type of thing, and we'll start by making some other strange configurations. Okay, bye for now.